Dear students, welcome to my class. I am Dr. Ansar Ali, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, C. Abdul Hakim College, Mel Visharam, Ranipet, Tamil Nadu. I am here to discuss on the subject Scientific Research Methodology, which is a elective paper for postgraduate students. In this class, we will focus on definitions for research, aims and objectives of research, importance of literature survey, and primary sources. What is research? It is an art of scientific investigation. Research is an art of scientific investigation. Research is regarded as a systematic efforts to gain new knowledge. Research is careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. According to Clifford Woodie, research comprises defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggesting solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last, carefully testing the conclusions to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis. Next, what is scientific research? Scientific research consists of inquiries, observations, and experiments. It attempts to use these to answer questions about what causes various phenomena. Scientific research does not provide absolute answers to questions. Scientific research does not provide absolute answers to questions, but instead gives probable answers based on evidence gathered and current knowledge. Scientific methods begins with proposing questions to be answered. Scientific methods begins with proposing questions to be answered. The question must be testable, that is, scientists should be able to answer by studying data, conducting experiments, and interpreting results. After proposing question, scientists review prior research on topic to learn what other scientists have done and believe. This stops them from wasting time repeating research that has already been done. As a result of this research, the scientist creates a hypothesis or possible answers to the questions. The scientist then conducts an experiment to test the hypothesis. Once the experiment is complete, the researchers analyze the results using statistical conclusions and draw conclusions. They then let others in the scientific community to know their experiments and conclusions, usually by publishing papers. Other researchers then try the same experiment to see if they get the same results. This helps determine whether the conclusion drawn was valid. If the researchers do not get the same results, they examine the way of original experiment was conducted and make a new hypothesis about why the results are different. Next, what are all the types of research? There are various types of research: fundamental research, descriptive research, historical research, applied research, conceptual research, qualitative research, quantitative research, analytical research, and empirical research. Aims of the research methodology. The overall purpose of the research should be clearly, concisely defined. Aims are broad statements of desired outcomes or the general intentions of the research which point a picture of your research project. Emphasize what is to accomplished. Address the long term project outcomes. Once aims have been established, the next task is to formulate the objectives. Generally, project should have no more than 2 or 3 aims statements. Objectives of research. Objects are the steps you are going to take answer your research questions or a specific list of tasks needed to accomplish the goals of the project. Emphasize how aims are to be accomplished. Objectives must be highly focused and feasible. They address more immediate project outcomes, make accurate use of concepts, must be sensible and precisely described, and it should read as an individual statement to convey your intentions. Next, importance of literature survey. What is the need for literature survey? After selecting the research problem, the first step in research work is survey of literature in chosen field. The researcher has to search the available literature sources to know whether any work was reported on the same problem and a relevant field. If so, he has to see to what extent the work was carried out. Without knowing the details regarding the work done in the earlier years in the same or related problem, it is not possible to carry out the research work. And hence, review of literature in research refers to extensive, exhaustive, and systematic survey of publications relevant to the selected field of investigation. The process of literature review begins even before the stage of defining the research topic or problem and continues till the publications. The thorough examination of literature, that is, articles in science journals, review articles, books, monographs, and other writings which deal with a particular subject, is essential for following reasons. To access the level of theory and research that have been developed in the field of study, and thus to find what is already known and what remains to be investigated in the specific field of study. Literature survey is to understand the definition of the established concepts and variables in the chosen field. To identify and adopt the research design, analytical methods, scales, instruments, data analysis, etc. To become fully aware of all the difficulties encountered by other workers and to thus avoid waste of time and money in the proposed research, and to learn how to write a research report or a paper for publication. The entire literature is divided into two broad categories: primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources generally publish original results of the research work, whereas secondary sources covers the materials which are already published. In this session, we will focus on primary sources. The primary sources is divided into two categories, that is journals and patents. Let's start journal. What is journals? All the new research work will be first published in journals. There are thousands of journals that publish chemical research articles in many countries, in many languages, covering all fields of chemistry and other chemistry related fields. They are published as weekly, semi monthly, monthly, bi monthly, quarterly, and semi annually. Journals publish three types of publications. Those are papers, notes, and communication. Papers. If the work is substantial and gives complete details with sufficient data, it is published as a paper. Normally, a paper contains the full text, which includes abstract, introduction, experimental methods, results and discussion, conclusion, references with tables and figures. Notes. Notes is a brief paper published without abstract and summary. It is more or less similar to a paper in all other ways. Communications or letters. These are also brief papers without summary. Some of them may contain abstract, but these communications are more significant. They commonly differ from paper and notes in following three aspects. They are brief not because the work is of small scope, but because they are condensed. They include usually the most important experimental details. All communications are supposed to be of high importance, whereas some of the papers and notes are lesser importance. They are preliminary reports, and materials in them may be republished as paper in contrast to the material in papers and notes which cannot be republished. Most of the journals publish research articles in English language, while some publish in Russian, German, French, and Chinese. But the other language journals publish summaries of the papers in English. Nowadays, for these journals, the English version is available. Next, what are patents? Whenever a new compound or a new method or technology is invented, it can be patented to have the rights of methods, process, or compounds with the inventors. Patent is published for a new compound or new method for making it as known compound or known method. Patents will contain all technical details which are very much useful for a chemist, and no literature search is complete. One neglects the relevant patents. No literature search is complete. One neglects the relevant patents. A bound volumes of US patents are kept in a number of libraries. Around 30 countries publish patents, but these patents are not reliable. The patents are not reliable because of the two reasons. In patent, the inventor claims as much as possible. For example, he had actually carried out a reaction with ethanol, but he will claim reactions of all types of alcohols. So, an investigator repeating the reaction with an alcohol that was not used by the inventor may not get the yield at all. Although legally a patent gives monopoly to an inventor, any alleged infringements must be protected in court. Therefore, some patents are written omitting certain essential details. The procedures given are not always sufficient to duplicate the results. Thanks for listening. We will continue the other aspect of literature survey in next section.